John Carl was in Delaware recently, and he sat down with Christine O'Donnell, the Tea Party favorite, who's of course the name on everyone's lips today. Take a look at a little bit more of the interview that he brought back to us. Take a look.
The Republican Party has lost its way. They get behind candidates like my opponent who don't even support the Republican platform, who continue to support the Democrats' agenda lock, step, and barrel. The Republican Party has started to put party power over party principles, and as a result, our country's in the mess that it's in. Our so-called leaders in Washington, both Republicans and Democrat, are guilty of what's happened in our country.
You heard that right, lock, step, and barrel.
I know,
Indeed.
That's pretty good. She talks a lot about tidal waves as well. And joining us today to talk about the potential wave, or lock, stop, and barrel is Chris Cillizza of the Washington Post.
Hi, guys.
Chris Cillizza. Well, we got a lot of other things going on. I know Delaware is on everybody's mind. But so we're going to start there.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we should expect from tonight from Delaware and what they should tell us?
I mean, look, I think it is worth noting that it's amazing that we're talking about Delaware. Okay, I mean, Mike Castle has been elected for 40 plus years. He's literally held every single possible office you can hold in the state, with the exception of the one he's running for the Senate. Christine O'Donnell has run for office. This is her third Senate bid, lost in 2006 in the Republican primary, won the nomination largely because it was non-contested in 2008 against Joe Biden and won 35% of the vote. And now, nothing that you would look back on all of what I've just said would suggest this race is competitive, except that we are in a year in which being a moderate/liberal Republican is not a good thing in a small state with a low population, in which predicting who votes is very difficult. We saw it in Alaska last month. The question is, does it happen today in Delaware? Unlike Alaska, and this is important, Joe Miller is still a favorite in Alaska.
Right.
He upset Lisa Murkowski. He's still a favorite to win. It's a very Republican state. If Christine O'Donnell wins today, Democrats are feeling a whole lot better about Chris Coons, the Democratic nominee's chances of winning it. Much better than if Mike Castle. This could be a seat, literally a seat swinging in front of our eyes.
And maybe swinging the entire Senate, if you look at it.
Absolutely.
Because this takes those numbers out of the equation. New Hampshire scrambles things a little bit. You've got this four-way primary up there. You've got Kelly Ayotte, the establishment favorite, the Tea Party energy going in another direction to Ovid Lamontagne. How do you handicap that?
You know, I think Ovid Lamontagne has been kind of the tortoise in the race. He, in 1996, did a similar thing. He, in a gubernatorial race, he upset the establishment pick. Now, it was more of a one-on-one race there. It wasn't a four-way race. And you mentioned that the four-way race are important. Two self-funders, too, in this race. So two people spending money and will get a certain percentage vote. He is moving up, clearly. Ayotte stayed about the same. I think there's a lot of attention that she's slipped in some way. Not really. She's been about where she's been this whole time. I think she probably pulls that out narrowly. I think Lamontagne is hurt by the fact that you have two self-funders in the race who are going to get a certain percentage of the vote if there is an anti-Ayotte vote out there. And to be frank, we don't really know. That's one of the big stories of this cycle. There's so little polling that we know we can trust out there that we don't know what's happening in some of these races. Remember, there was a poll in the Alaska Senate primary, that said Lisa Murkowski was going to win comfortably. Well, that was wrong. So we don't know the answer. Same goes for Delaware. There's a poll out there that has Christine O'Donnell ahead by 3 points. Is it right? Is it wrong? I mean, we'll find out in 8 hours.
Well, let's weigh in a little bit on what Congressman Matheson was talking about here and what we've seen on the tax fight. How do we think that this starts to play out in the campaigns, this sort of disarray and the messaging that seems to not really be clear?
The more that Democrats can focus on Republicans, like John Boehner, is he saying he would vote for this or does he not want it? The more they can focus on Republicans, the better. Because here's what we know about this election. People don't love the direction the economy is taking. They don't love how the Obama administration, the Democratic Congress has handled it. They don't love the spending and the debts. So the more you can say, see, Republicans don't know what they're doing either, and you're going to put them in charge. This election I always say you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the other guy election. And I think in some ways that's what's happening. Democrats know that it's going to be tough for them to win by making a positive case on healthcare, the economy, Obama. But if they can make a negative case against Republicans, and John Boehner is helping them do that right now, maybe they have a chance.
In our last 20 seconds here, you heard Jim Matheson talk about this. The election's out there. Democrats are in control. If these tax cuts are still scheduled to expire as of Election Day, I've got to think that's a tough message for Democrats.
Very tough message. Very, very. And again, taxes and spending are issues where people natively trust the Republican Party. Just like on healthcare, they trust or education, they trust the Democratic Party. So they're already fighting an uphill battle just in terms of voter perception. And that's important, particularly in an election where voters are pessimistic, don't trust either party. Anything that you do that plays into their preconceived preconceived notions is dangerous.
All right, the Washington Post, Chris Cillizza, The Fix.
Thanks, guys.
Tell everyone, what do you do on the primary day, by the way?
Well, a lot of people play golf. Some people stare at their computers. I go and watch my wife's field hockey team at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
What is the record now, Chris?
4-0, outscored their opponents 26-0, and this is now the second televised plug I've made for Catholic University field hockey in the last 48 hours.
Well done, sir. Thank you. That's it for this edition of Top Line. Keep watching us at abcnews.com. All the election results tonight.